Hey, what's up, y'all? Testing 1, 2. Hey, welcome to the pre-show of the Old School Radio Podcast. Let's get it cracking, baby. All right, what's up, TikTok? Hey, make sure you follow. October 31st is the official date of this year of the Old School Radio Podcast. Let's go and get it cracking. On today's subject, we're going to do the pre-show. And then after the 31st, they will all be official. Now, today's topic is about forgiveness. Forgiveness or forgive and forget. Now, to forgive is a basic topic. A lot of people have different definitions of what forgiveness is. So, based on this, you got different descriptions in the Bible on what forgiveness is. Explain that God 7 times will, forgive you 7 times, times 7 times 7, blah, 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 blah. But forgiveness is the key thing. A lot of people don't understand that everything in the Bible is not inaccurate. Everything in the Quran is not inaccurate as well. Any biblical or religious book basically comes from older books, the coffin text, the emerald tablets, older scrolls, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Book of Life, things of that nature. So based on all this is happening, so just remember to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. This is the Old School Radio Podcast. Hey y'all, make sure y'all like and follow on TikTok. Much love from the tribe. What's going on with y'all? We have to do what we got to do to actually focus on what we need to do based on life. And it all happening. Now, forgiveness. Based on, let's start with relationships. Something happened in life which reminded me about forgiveness. And I started a little early, but like 5 minutes early based on that. Maybe 2 minutes and 47 seconds early. But forgiveness. Based on relationships. Now, I got different categories when it comes to forgiveness. Let's say your man or your woman, either or, had infidelity, cheated on you. Okay? Normally in a relationship, communication is key. You talk about things. Talking is not arguing with each other, yelling at each other. That's not communication. When you get to the point that your partner cheats on you and you're able to actually talk about it, I mean, it could be anything. You ain't got to be cheating, but we're going to use cheating as an example. You got to talk about, well, why I cheated on you. This is what happened. Blah, 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 whatever the case may be. Whatever reason it was that caused infidelity in your relationship, you sit down and talk about it. Because I cheated before in different relationships back in the day. Trying to be a bad boy, whatever. But based on all this happening, based on all this happening, we talk about, we talk about it with each other. Well, this is what happened. We talked about this, and why did you do it? Main reason why your partner wants to know why did you do it? I ain't getting to this relationship to give up on it. Y'all start talking about that. Y'all say, you know what? I can forgive you for cheating on me. I think we can get through this. Now, your first thought in normal situations is not to let it go, really. Or you have it in your mind. Some people don't even have it in their mind. They just bring it up in an argument. Let's say y'all talking about something stupid after all this has happened. Y'all forgave each other. Y'all went through all the emotions and blah, 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 and all this stuff that happened. So based on that, we talk about, yeah, I forgave you, I love you, woo, 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 woo. Then y'all disagree on something. Then your partner bring it up in the argument. Well, I see why you cheated, and that's why I cheated, and blah, 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 blah. That's not a good way to start over. So therefore, the statement of forgive and forget. I can forgive, but I'm not going to forget. You hear that from a lot of people. Hell, people have told me that. And my statement to them is, hey, that's not forgiveness. What is forgiveness? I forgive and forget. That's the reality. Because if you don't really forget, what I mean by forget, meaning take it out your spirit, or take it out your vocabulary or your mental. Take it out of the conversation. Don't never bring it up again. Learn from it. Move on. If you decide to get back together. It makes no sense to get back together with somebody if you're going to constantly bring it up in an argument. It makes no sense. The communication level is off. The energy is off. The vibration is off. Everything is off because you will not stop bringing it up. And you never trust the person again because you keep bringing it up. Now, the whole purpose of getting back together is to regain that trust level again. Get that trust level going. To rebuild it. It's going to take time for that to happen, but the foundation must be rebuilt. To rebuild the foundation, you have to forgive, forget. Take it out of your spirit. Get to the level of, I need time to heal from this situation. Before y'all start talking about getting back together, or at least if you don't break up because of the infidelity, at least give each other time to heal from it. It takes time. Who am I to tell you how long it's going to take y'all? Everybody heals differently. Everybody learns differently. Everybody reacts differently. So to even start the healing process, you have to forgive and forget. Take it out your spirit. Take it out your conversation. Take it out your mental. You have to let it go. To even start regaining that trust again, you have to let it go. Now, some people get to that level of forgiveness and let it go. They let the conversation, they don't bring it up in another conversation unless the conversation is mutual. Y'all talk it out. Y'all begin to learn from the situation from each other. You learn why did you cheat. You learn, there's no reason to cheat with somebody, but you have to understand it happens. Sometimes it don't. Sometimes it never happens. It doesn't have to happen, but in some relationship, let's keep it real. It happens. Hell, I've done it. I got cheated on before. So I get about the hurt. I get about it hurting and going through what you need to go through. Again, as before the last podcast, I talked about ladies, we hurt. Our heart does break. And it hurts. Most men don't bounce back from things that y'all describe because we're men. But to forgive someone or go on the road of forgiving somebody, you have to forgive and forget, or throw it in the sea of forgiveness, as the scriptures state. I, for one, don't quote the scripture that much. I think people, I ain't gonna say do it too much, but I think people don't have balance when it comes to different things. Meaning they quote the scriptures too much, or they quote the Quran too much. They rely on religion too much. They don't look at the inside of themselves. Because looking in a book is not looking inside yourself. Now, I've heard, not to, talk about the word. I heard the word is what's inside you, not what's in a book. So, when they talk about forgiveness, most people go straight to the biblical text, or the Quran, or any book that mentions the subject of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not going to come. Forgiveness is not going to come from that book. It's not. Forgiveness comes from within. Forgiveness is always going to come from inside. This is something that's necessary to do if you want to even move on from your relationship. Let's say y'all decide not to get back together. Y'all decide to go y'all separate ways. You have to really forgive that person, to let it go. You have to take it out your conversation anyway. Because if you don't, you're going to take the sins of your last relationship, or your last mate, or person that you consider your love, into the next. You're going to bring old baggage into a new trip, as they say. So either way it go, whether you decide to stay with the person that did infidelity, or whatever reason why y'all have a troubled waters, as they say, you have to forgive that person and let it go. Because if you don't, you're going to bring it into a new relationship. If you have a new relationship, sometimes people get hurt so deep, they don't want another relationship. And they begin to reenact what their last partner did to them, to other people. Because they don't let it go. Forgiveness is not for the person you're forgiving. Forgiveness is for the main purpose of yourself or someone healing, for you to heal from yourself. You have to really focus on that, because if you don't hear that, then you really don't have the idea of where your healing is going to come from. To heal, you have to have a foundation of healing. So to start that healing process, you have to learn how to take it out your conversation. And to take it out your conversation, you have to first take it out your mental. That's why the word forget is necessary. So you have to actually learn how to heal yourself from different things, but the simplest step is to let it go. Let go, as they say. Let it go. Like Frozen, just let it go. You have to really practice this, because there's people walking around this earth today, no matter what they went through, no matter how hard it was in their life, no matter how, no matter how things are happening in your life, you really don't Forgive. You don't let it go at all. Everything you went through in your life, you still hold on to. That's when it creates more problems for your insides. When you hold on to stuff too long and you don't let it go. That's why I like to let it go right away. I like to get rid of it. Because I don't want to start to harden my heart. I don't want to start changing me and changing my mentality, taking away my gifts that the source of all things has given me since birth, since my creation. They started laying dormant inside me. And then it affects my physical health, my mental health, my physical health. And then you start developing different personalities. You start really becoming sicker and sicker because you're not letting it go. So, you know that statement, stress is a killer? So no matter who you with, you're never going to trust that person. No matter what they do, no matter what they represent, you're never going to trust the person again. Even if it's not the person that did it to you in the first place. That's why forgiveness is not for the person you're forgiving. Forgiveness is for you to heal from it and grow. Our goal in life is to continue to learn and grow and to become better. That's the reality of it. So when we forgive, we have to really focus on that forgiveness. So again, if you decide to stay with the person that caused the infidelity, you have to really stay with that person. And you have to really understand why this is necessary. So we stay with that person. If we do not let it go and we decide to stay with this person, you will continue to punish yourself for what happened, and you will continue to actually punish the person you're with continuously. And this is crazy for this. Again, anybody who's just tuning in, YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Okay? And make sure that TikTok, you have to follow me and like. So based on all this stuff happening, back to the conversation, you have to forgive and let go. Let the crap go. Again, if you don't, heartache and sickness happens. Even if you start, here's my thing, and to even love somebody. Remember I told y'all before in the past pre-show, forgiveness is coming. You can never forgive nobody, or even love anybody, if you do not love yourself. That is what's necessary. So this is all things, everything, as they say, there's no shortcuts when it comes to developing your human spirit. Because it was a time that the human spirit that we once had lay dormant because we were taught not to love ourselves. And everything that we went through as a people, trust me, we all have mental issues. And I mentioned in the last podcast, all this stuff I'm building up to something here. Just bear with me for a moment. If we don't love ourselves from the inside out, it's not love. We call that lust, or we call that arrogance. That's not love. Love is something that comes natural. Arrogance is a lot harder work to become arrogant. It takes work to become arrogant. At least with me, it takes work to become arrogant, even though I can be an arrogant person. And if y'all wonder why my lips twitch like that, because it was a time in my life, a couple of years ago, I did have a stroke, or a slight stroke. But as you live, you continue and you heal yourself. So I was healed from everything that was happening to me. I'm even going through certain things today, but at the same time, I'm learning how to heal myself again. To the point where I won't have to never ever, as long as I'm living on this planet, go through what I'm going through. But anyway, forgiveness all start from loving yourself. Because even being in a relationship, it's impossible to love that person if you don't love yourself. Because sometimes, well, most of the time, to even forgive yourself from things that happen, that's the first person you're supposed to love and forgive, yourself. I'm sorry, I skipped that point. But you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself first. And forgive yourself first. Or you won't be able to either love or forgive the person that you're trying to forgive. And it's no shortcuts when it comes to that. And I'm being dead serious when it comes to that, because I'm too old, put it this way. I'm too old to go from relationship to relationship to relationship. I have a different mentality as an older man. Even though I'm Generational X, born in 1973. Remember that TikTok. I'm probably Generation X. But even at this age or level of understanding, or overstanding, I should say, we have to do things a little different as we get older. For me to be in a relationship, which I am currently in, I don't go in relationships just to be with that person, just to be with. I was once married, now divorced, but if I'm deciding to be in a relationship, my purpose of being in a relationship is to make sure this woman is wife material, and to make sure that I'm husband material right along with that. So the person I'm with knows that. I gave them that understanding since the beginning. What my intentions are since the beginning. So I've done things, she's done things, but we talked about it. We don't yell at each other, we don't argue. We talk about it. And we tell each other how we feel. But we tell each other how we feel in a compassionate way. We don't sit there and go for the jugular and, and try to stab him in the jugular, try to kill him or whatever. Verbally. That's what I mean. So, I've learned over the years not to argue with your spouse or soon-to-be spouse. Talk. Have a conversation. So when it's time to forgive each other, it's a lot easier, because y'all have the practice of learning from each other and talking to each other and communicating with each other. This is all necessary in a relationship. If you're not willing to communicate, if you're not willing to learn from that person, then don't go in a relationship. Do not have a relationship. Because it's a waste of time to have a relationship if you're not willing to go the extra mile of learning who that person is, allowing that person to learn who you are, and to talk about it. Trust me. Excuse me. Trust me, all this is necessary. All this is necessary to have a decent relationship. It took me a while to learn what a decent relationship, because back in the day, man, people who know me, know me. I'm going to say it like that. So, based on all this happening, we focus on, so when the subject of forgiveness comes up, so we have to first build the foundation in the beginning. Not to say I'm going to cheat, not to say the person I'm with is going to cheat. We still trust each other. That's another thing. We trust each other. We care about each other. We trust each other, and we communicate to each other. It's been times I told her how I felt, but I raised my voice. And I learned not to do that. I learned not to raise my voice. She forgave me because she loves herself first. She forgave my ignorant behind. Because I was so used to, from my past relationship, I guess I didn't learn how to forgive that person fully. So I did what I normally would do in that relationship. But I've learned right away, hey, you know what? Baby, I'm sorry. Next time, I'm going to change that. I'm not going to raise my voice at you ever again. Please forgive me. I was wrong. I humbled myself. And she cared about me enough to forgive me for it. She didn't have to. It wasn't a requirement. But she did it anyway. But I've learned how to, just in case we make a mistake, and now when I say make a mistake, I don't mean cheating on the person, or that's all self-decision. That's all about decision making. There's no really, I mean, there's no such thing accidentally cheating on somebody. Let's keep it real. But that's something I would never do. Because I'm a lot older and I'm a lot better. That's something I would never do. I would end the relationship before I cheat on somebody. Because what's the sense of being with... See, I'm old enough to know and learn as I grew up. That's when it comes from that last conversation about emotional balance. Everything ties with each other. Emotional balance, forgiveness, loving yourself. All this ties into everything. So, when it comes to a relationship, I remember when I was 15 years old, that's the first time I had a girlfriend. She's no longer here. She's with the ancestors. And that's the first time when it comes to a relationship about learning forgiveness. That's when I first learned it. That's when I first learned how to, as far as I learned what emotional balance was. Because let's keep it real. As a teenager, when you first become a teenager, you have no idea what emotional balance is. But I got blessed to learn what love is. And I had a father and a mother which adopted me and gave me the knowledge and understanding and understanding what loving yourself means. What it really means to love yourself. Because if you truly love yourself, you'll be able to overcome anything. You'll be able to heal from anything. You'll be able to grow and have an understanding about anything and everything. And we have to reach that level based on that. So we have an understanding and overstanding, because you have to first understand something. And that's another thing. I use the word overstanding. Yes, that came from Dr. Malachi York. The first person I heard even say a word. But I grew up knowing for a fact that knowing is better than belief. Belief does not show you have an understanding. you accepted whatever you believe in it. You accepted it. You marked it off as fact. You didn't research it. You didn't look it up. You just believe it. That's why it's important to learn and know and research it properly. Now, back in the day before the internet, yes, I was alive before the internet, I went to the library and researched it. When you research, you basically read a book, at the end of that book, this book has references or recommendations for other books. So what we normally do is take those references and go find them books. And we write notes or whatever. Because there's a reason why these books reference other books. So, believe me, every book has references. Then it's not really a book. It's just something written. Even the Bible has references that's not a part of the Bible. Interesting. We're going to talk about that at a later date as well. And we also going to bring up the fact that the Catholic Church has 73 books, 73 to 77 books. The Christian Church has 66. The Ethiopian Bible is 88 to 115 books. Why are we the only ones that have the list books? But our Bible makes references to other books that's not a part of the Bible. We're going to talk about later on about the Nicene Council, this Roman Council that took books out of the Bible and banned these books from the Bible. But they left in the references that talk about these scriptures. But anyway, forgiveness. Forgiveness is very important. Loving yourself, let's go through the line. Loving yourself is very important. Forgiving yourself is very important. Having an understanding, having an overstanding. Keep track of your references. Go find those references when you read a book. Because that's the whole basis of research. You have to have quality research to have quality knowledge, to have scholarship, to have what they say, make sure that nothing is pseudo. There's a lot of pseudo people out here. Pseudo meaning your knowledge is crap. Your knowledge is not accurate. I, for one, work on having knowledge that I can prove. That I can have evidence. And I mentioned before, even having faith, the definition of faith in the scriptures even has evidence. Evidence for things not seen and evidence of things that we see. But just because we physically see it, again, just because we physically see it does not mean it's true. Let me reiterate. Just because we physically see it, don't make it truth. Seeing things is not necessarily evidence. Or physical evidence. It's not necessarily evidence. Because sometimes your eyes can play tricks on you. Your eyes can play tricks on you. Just because it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, don't necessarily mean it's a duck. But a lot of people come to that conclusion, that must be a duck. What makes it a duck? Is it a man dressed like a duck? What makes us a sheep? Is a man dressed like a wolf in sheep's clothing? But seeing it don't make it true. It's like saying BS. Me and my cousin had a discussion yesterday. BS don't make it real S. Matter of fact, it could be true that it's BS or not true or a lie, but BS can't be truth. You can prove with truth that it's BS, but BS don't make it true. That makes sense to y'all? Let me know. The saying is, BS, it could be truth. It could be true that it's BS, but BS can't be true. So in other words, just because we see it, we see the BS, or we see something that appears to be what it is, I don't accept the fact. I don't believe it's what it is, unless I have the proper evidence to prove that it is what it is. I've seen things in my life that look like this, but it wasn't this. I don't know how that makes sense, don't make sense to y'all, but if it does, hit me up in my message and I will explain it. I will write you back and explain it to you. But the Old School Radio podcast is necessary, y'all. We have an understanding. We old school. If it's not broke, why fix it? If we have an understanding or overstanding of what we need, so you have to have an understanding of something. And you have to have an overstanding of something. You have to see the whole picture, the whole point of view. You have to. And we learn by research. So forgiveness is not for the person. It's not for the person that you're forgiving. Again, forgiveness is for yourself. But we have to forgive and forget. If we do not forgive and forget, then it's not forgiveness. Because we have to take the incident. Like, most people react to the effect of what happened. They don't look at the cause of the effect. We have a habit of reacting to the effect, but don't find out why the effect even happened. What caused it to happen in the first place? Most of us don't look at it like Sherlock Holmes. Elementary, my dear Watson. Every time I watch Sherlock Holmes explain how he solved the case, he always explains the cause of it. We already know the effect because we see it in our eyes, but that's because we see the crime, don't make it a solved crime. Even Batman tries to solve the case, but to solve the case, we have to find out the cause of what caused the effect in the first place. So we have to get in the habit of finding the whole story, or as much of the story that we can find, because we can't just accept or believe what happened. This is what happened. Let me look for the cause of it. Let me investigate. Let me find the evidence of things I'm not seeing. So forgiving yourself and loving yourself puts you on the right road to your destination. This is something that's real necessary because at least myself, speaking for myself, I cannot live my life in confusion. And confusion to me is seeing the effect of what happened and not knowing the cause. Because confusion doesn't lead to truth or fact. Confusion leads to chaos. And I don't live my life in chaos. Even the conversation, if I'm having a conversation with somebody, I try not to even have a conversation with that person. Because why? It does me no good. I don't learn from the conversation. I don't gain nothing from the conversation. So it's a waste of my time. And I for one don't like wasting my time with people that don't respect my time. So this is necessary to even build up to, just in case you need to forgive somebody. All this comes from the beginning. That's why you cannot have a shortcut. We can't start in the beginning of the foundation and then move to the middle. It doesn't work that way. Life don't even work that way. So all these people out here who talking knowledge and talking about different things that's happening, and a lot of them, not all of them, some people researched and looked it up and studied and got the cause for the effect. But there's some people out there that's pseudo. They take something from somebody else and they run with it. I, for one, I've heard a lot of things. I don't care where it comes from. I'm not going to believe it. Even if my father told me things that I didn't accept until I looked it up and researched it. Or at least when I look up stuff and okay, let me explain. The best way to find truth, when you come across truth, everything has to come from inside to detect that it's truth. Meaning, if your heart, your soul, and your mind, or your mind, heart, and soul, align with each other, meaning your mind don't disagree with your heart don't disagree with your soul. Everything is aligned, everything is in agreement. All three sections of elements of yourself all agree. Once they all agree, and this happens simultaneously when you're searching for facts and truth, even when you live in your life. That's the way we were designed, to have a lie detector within ourselves. So when your heart, soul, and mind agree and align, that's when you find a form of truth. Another piece of advice, family, TikTok, YouTube, another piece of advice is to study everything. Research everything. I don't care how simple it is. I don't care how difficult it is. Search high and low for it. It's worth it. It saves you time. It puts you in a position, and you get into the habit of researching everything that comes at people's mouths. Because there was a time before the internet that we had to work hard for every piece of information we got. Even though we had teachers like Dr. Clark, we had teachers like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we had teachers like Dr. Ben, Yusuf Ben. We had teachers. Dr. Kawaja Kanjufu. We had teachers. Dr. York. We had teachers. Even my father was a teacher. I listened to him, but I researched everything that came out. When it came to knowledge, I researched everything that came out of his mouth. Not that I didn't trust him. I gave him my trust, but my inner self was hungry for knowledge. So I looked it up. I took the references out of books and studied the references. I studied the book. So every book I read and studied research, I looked at the references. Even the references have references. So I looked it up to the point where even if I went through 100 books, I wanted to find the cause to the effect. I wanted to really find out. I'm still like that. I'd rather have a physical book in my hand, reading it, so I can have something physical in my hand and my eyes are reading it and I'm absorbing everything this book is talking about. Even when the book is saying what it's saying, I still research and triple research and quadruple research what the book is saying. That's the purpose of going through the references. Most religious people don't do that. They take what it says in the Bible, like for instance, in the Bible it says, the moon gives light. Is that a fact? Or is that pseudo? Does the moon give light? Let me ask y'all this on YouTube and on TikTok. Does the moon give light? Does it really give light? Or does it reflect it from the sun? Or does light reflect from the sun? Which one is it? Does the sun rise and set? Or does the earth rotate? It's about perspective as well. By having the correct perspective. Because if I just believe the Bible and just read it without researching anything, even the Bible tells you to study for thyself, so thyself approved. Even the definitions of faith, evidence of things not seen. Evidence. Look for the evidence. Find it. Find the evidence. This is what's necessary. This is what's necessary. Based on all this, y'all, I'm giving y'all tips of what to do. I'm getting y'all to get in the habit of researching and studying things. I did a post. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with prayer. There's nothing wrong with meditation. But it all has its place. The purpose in life is to be reminded what your soul already knows. Your soul is your true self. Your soul is who you are. So your true self knows what you need to succeed in your destiny. That's the subconscious. But the problem is our consciousness has forgotten what my soul knows. So the purpose of life is to be reminded what my soul already knows. So everything I study and research can match what my soul already knows. That's why it's important to listen to yourself, your inner voice, your true self. Even in Star Wars, Yoda is telling y'all, hey, inside things come from. Everything comes from within. If anybody sits there and tell you, see, the problem with religion is always focused on outside, your garments, what you have on, you physically doing different motions like salat in the Muslim world, but it says nothing about your inside. So religion, prayer, is the art of talking. You're talking when you're in prayer. But meditation is the art of listening. First becoming silent and listening. That's the purpose of meditation. You have to listen to find out what your soul already knows. But Mama always say, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So in other words, you have to listen more and talk less. So which one's better? You're already given, since you were created, what you need. So whatever you think you need, you already have it. So why pray for it? Now, those of you who pray, I'm not mad at y'all for that. I respect that. I honor that. Prayer has its place. But we have to be more commanding in our prayers. I heard Billy Carson say that once. But that's not where I get it from. But meditation allows you to be silent. Buddha once said, silence is golden. I mean, everything ain't bad in religion. Religion comes from an older path. To find the oldest path possible, we have to find the oldest path. And believe me, there's always an older path. So you're never satisfied, which is a good thing because you learn every day. You continue to learn different things every day. You constantly be reminded what your soul already knows, and your soul knows a lot. Because to succeed in life, you have to be reminded what you know. And then once you're reminded what you know, and then at that point, you can implement it. So we have to be real careful about what we think, what we say, and how we act, how we react to things. So everything we do in life leads up to that point of life that we have to forgive ourselves and forgive other people. So the purpose to forgive, again, is to allow yourself to heal. But if you decide to stay with that person for whatever reason, whatever happened between you two, and you decide to stay, take it out your conversation, take it out your spirit, take it out your mind, because you don't want to keep bringing it up. Because the past is the past. You leave it where it's at. You don't need to keep bringing it up to prove your point. The person who has a conscience, who did the infidelity or whatever the reason is, are beating themselves up enough. So they have to forgive themselves for it. At least I have a conscience. I don't know about nobody else. There's people out there that ain't got no conscience. But, or appear that they don't have a conscience. So, to conclude this broadcast, we have to really do what's necessary to achieve our goals in the most honest and realist way possible. So remember, it's always a tribal thing. And remember to love yourselves so the rest of the doors can open in your life so you can open your blessing. You have to love yourself first before anything ever happens in your life. Because if we don't, we live our life in confusion. We're lost. And no one likes to be lost in the wilderness. So remember to follow me. I'd be happy to be your friend. I'd be happy to give you my energy if you're willing to rise above and have a high frequency. If you don't have a high frequency, or you're not trying to build your frequency like I am, I'm trying to rebuild my high frequency. And I hang with people and deal with people only that's willing to achieve their goal. I don't deal with people that chooses to have low energy and low frequency. That's a waste of my time. But if they choose and desire to have a high frequency, we can grow together and rise above all. So, much love from the tribe. This is the Old School Radio Podcast pre-show. Again, I'll see you guys October 31st, 2025. And later we're going to talk about the solar calendar and the lunar calendar. What's the difference? Because currently we're in the lunar calendar, but originally we had the solar calendar. I'll tell you the difference and why we should follow the solar calendar, because it makes everything align with history. It makes everything align with us, and it allows us to be who we are. So again, much love from the tribe. Again, this is the Old School Radio Podcast. Remember to love yourself and keep it real. Holla at your boy. Peace and love.